Sandra Baker stood in the quiet solitude of her mother's living room, clutching the phone tightly against her trembling hand. The voice on the other end belonged to her aunt, delivering the devastating news that her mother, Alice Cramer, had passed away unexpectedly. Sandra's heart shattered into a million pieces as tears welled up in her eyes. The memories flooded her mind, memories of a loving and wise mother who had always been her rock. Alice had been the pillar of strength in Sandra's life, offering guidance and unconditional love. Now, the realization that she was gone forever seemed unbearable. Christopher, Sandra's husband, walked into the room, his face etched with concern as he witnessed his wife's anguish. "Sandra, what's wrong?" he asked, his voice filled with worry. Sandra struggled to compose herself, her voice choked with sorrow. "It's my mother, Christopher. She's gone," she managed to utter between sobs. Christopher's eyes widened, his own heart sinking at the news. "Oh, Sandra, I'm so sorry," he said, rushing to her side and pulling her into an embrace. "I can't believe this. Is there anything I can do?" Sandra pulled away slightly, her eyes searching his. "Just be there for me, Christopher. I need you right now," she pleaded, her voice trembling with a mix of grief and longing for his support. Christopher nodded, his expression filled with remorse. "Of course, Sandra. I'll be here for you every step of the way," he assured her, a hint of guilt flickering in his eyes. Deep down, Sandra couldn't shake the nagging feeling that Christopher's work often took precedence over their personal lives. She hoped that this tragic event would awaken a newfound understanding within him, a realization of the fragility of life and the importance of being present for the people they loved. But little did Sandra know that the days to come would test the limits of her hopes and reveal the true strength of their bond. Days passed in a blur of funeral preparations and mourning. The church overflowed with mourners paying their respects to Alice Cramer, a woman who had touched so many lives with her kindness and wisdom. As Sandra stood at the front of the church, delivering a tearful eulogy, her gaze occasionally wandered to the empty seat beside her. Christopher had promised to attend the funeral, yet his absence weighed heavily on Sandra's heart. She understood the demands of his work, but in this moment of profound loss, she yearned for his presence. The betrayal of his absence pierced her soul, leaving her feeling abandoned and emotionally adrift. Colin Flanagan, Sandra's childhood friend, noticed her anguish. He had always been perceptive to her needs, even from a young age. With sympathetic eyes, he approached her after the service and embraced her gently. "I'm so sorry for your loss, Sandra. Your mother was an incredible woman," he whispered, his voice filled with genuine compassion. Sandra clung to Colin, finding solace in his comforting embrace. "Thank you, Colin. It means a lot to have you here," she murmured, her voice choked with emotion. In that moment, she felt an inexplicable connection to Colin, as if he understood her pain in a way that Christopher couldn't. As the days turned into weeks, Christopher attempted to make amends for his absence. He showered Sandra with flowers, heartfelt apologies, and promises of change. Yet, Sandra's heart remained guarded. She appreciated his gestures but couldn't simply forget the emptiness she felt during her mother's funeral. Meanwhile, Colin continued to be a steadfast source of support. He listened to her stories, shared memories of Alice, and provided a shoulder to lean on. Their conversations became a lifeline for Sandra, a lifeline that Christopher seemed unable to offer. Caught between the emotional connection she shared with Colin and the commitment she had made to her marriage, Sandra found herself grappling with conflicting emotions. She yearned for understanding, passion, and a deep bond, a bond that seemed elusive with Christopher. The path ahead appeared uncertain, and Sandra knew that a decision was imminent, one that would alter the course of her life and redefine her understanding of love and betrayal. Sandra stood at the crossroads of her emotions, torn between the familiarity of her marriage to Christopher and the allure of a deeper connection with Colin. Each passing day intensified her internal struggle as she grappled with the consequences of Christopher's absence during her mother's funeral. Christopher, sensing the widening rift between them, became determined to salvage their relationship. He recognized the pain he had caused Sandra and vowed to prioritize their bond above all else. He whisked her away on a romantic getaway, hoping to rekindle the flame that had flickered amidst the ashes of their shattered trust. Amidst picturesque surroundings, Christopher poured his heart out, expressing remorse for his absence and the pain it had caused. "Sandra, I know I let you down, and I can never undo that. But I want to make it right. I want to be the husband you deserve, the one who stands by your side through thick and thin," he pleaded, his voice laden with sincerity. Sandra listened, her heart wavering between forgiveness and lingering doubts. She wanted to believe in Christopher's promises, to believe that their love could overcome this betrayal. Yet, beneath her yearning for reconciliation, a nagging voice whispered, reminding her of the emptiness she had felt during her mother's funeral, the void that Christopher had failed to fill. Back at home, Sandra found herself drawn to Colin's unwavering support and understanding. He continued to be a steadfast presence, offering a shoulder to cry on and words of encouragement. Their friendship deepened, blurring the lines between companionship and something more. Late one evening, as Christopher returned from an extended business trip, he discovered Sandra engrossed in conversation with Colin. The intimacy shared in their exchange sparked an overwhelming surge of jealousy and desperation within him. He realized the severity of the situation, the true extent of his neglect, and the imminent possibility of losing Sandra. Torn between his love for Sandra and his guilt, Christopher confronted her with a mix of vulnerability and determination. "I can't bear to lose you, Sandra. I've made mistakes, but I'm willing to change. Please, give me another chance," he implored, his eyes pleading for her understanding. Sandra's heart ached, torn between the familiarity of her marriage and the allure of a different path with Colin. The weight of her decision threatened to crush her, for it was not only a choice between two men, but a choice that would define her own happiness and fulfillment. As the storm of emotions raged within her, Sandra knew that the time for a decision had come, one that would reshape her life and forever alter the course of her heart. Sandra stood at the precipice of a life-altering decision, her heart heavy with the weight of her choices. The conflicting emotions waged a fierce battle within her, tearing her apart. She knew that whatever path she chose would carry profound consequences, reshaping the course of her relationships and her own sense of self. Christopher anxiously awaited Sandra's response, his eyes filled with hope and apprehension. He had bared his soul, promising to rectify his past mistakes and rebuild their fractured trust. The love they had shared for years echoed in his plea, urging Sandra to give their marriage another chance. On the other side stood Colin, his gaze steady and unwavering. His presence had become a source of comfort and understanding, a place where Sandra found solace amidst the turbulence. Their connection had grown deeper, tinged with unspoken desires and a profound sense of companionship. Sandra took a deep breath, her mind fraught with conflicting thoughts and emotions. "Christopher, I need time." She finally spoke, her voice laced with a mix of uncertainty and determination. "I need to understand my own heart before I can make a decision." Christopher nodded, his face etched with a mix of disappointment and understanding. "I respect that, Sandra. Take all the time you need. Just know that I love you, and I'm willing to fight for our relationship," he said, his voice tinged with both hope and resignation. As the days turned into weeks, Sandra embarked on a journey of self-discovery. She delved into her own desires and aspirations, examining the depth of her love for both Christopher and Colin. Each encounter with them unraveled a new layer of her heart, further complicating the decision that loomed before her. During this introspective period, Sandra sought solace in the memories of her mother. She remembered Alice's unwavering support for her happiness and the wisdom she had imparted. In the quiet moments of reflection, Sandra realized that her mother's passing had triggered a profound transformation within her, a transformation that demanded her own happiness be prioritized. The day arrived when Sandra finally felt a glimmer of clarity. She called Christopher and Colin together, their presence a testament to the gravity of her decision. With a steady voice and determined gaze, she spoke her truth. "I've spent days agonizing over this decision, And it's not one that I take lightly, Sandra began, her voice steady despite the tremor in her heart. Christopher, you have been a significant part of my life, and the love we shared has shaped who I am. But the absence you showed during my mother's funeral exposed a void I cannot ignore, a void that Colin has filled with his unwavering support and understanding. Christopher's face fell, a mixture of disappointment and regret etched upon it. Colin, his gaze filled with empathy, reached out to hold Sandra's hand, offering her a lifeline of reassurance. Sandra continued, her voice imbued with newfound strength. I've come to realize that my own happiness and emotional fulfillment must take precedence. Christopher, I need to explore the connection I share with Colin, to understand if it is the love I have been yearning for. Christopher nodded, his eyes reflecting a mixture of sorrow and acceptance. I understand, Sandra, he replied, his voice heavy with resignation. I hope you find the happiness you deserve. As the word hung in the air, Sandra's heart ached with the pain of her decision. She knew that the path ahead would be fraught with challenges and uncertainties, but she also understood that staying true to herself was essential for her own growth and happiness. With a final glance at Christopher, she turned to Colin, their eyes meeting in a shared understanding of the road ahead. It was a road that held the promise of a love story yet to be written, a story shaped by the consequences of betrayal, forgiveness, and the pursuit of true happiness. Sandra embarked on a journey of self-discovery, guided by her newfound understanding of the importance of her own happiness. Colin stood beside her, a constant source of support and companionship as they navigated the uncharted territory of their evolving relationship. The bond between Sandra and Colin deepened with each passing day. They explored shared interests, uncovered hidden passions, and reveled in the joy of discovering a love that felt genuine and unburdened. Their connection blossomed organically, free from the constraints of past expectations and regrets. Yet remnants of her life with Christopher lingered, casting a bittersweet shadow over Sandra's newfound happiness. They remained connected through the legalities of their separation, their lives intersecting in delicate ways. Christopher, though wounded by the dissolution of their marriage, showed respect for Sandra's pursuit of fulfillment. As time passed, Sandra faced the challenges that accompanied any transformative journey. Doubts crept in, whispering uncertainties and stirring echoes of the past. She wondered if she had made the right choice, if the love she had found with Colin could endure the test of time. In her moments of doubt, Sandra sought solace in the memories of her mother. Alice had always encouraged her to be true to herself, to follow her heart with unwavering determination. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind, reminding her of the strength she possessed and the importance of embracing her own path. As Sandra immersed herself in self-reflection, Christopher embarked on his own journey of healing and growth. The pain of losing Sandra had forced him to confront his shortcomings, reevaluating his priorities and the choices he had made. He delved into therapy, seeking to understand the patterns that had led to their estrangement. During this period of introspection, Christopher recognized the significance of Sandra's decision and the role he had played in their separation. He acknowledged his past mistakes, vowing to learn from them and become a better partner in the future. The realization fueled his determination to become the person Sandra had needed him to be. Months turned into years, and Sandra and Colin's love continued to flourish. Their bond weathered storms and celebrated triumphs, fortified by the foundation of trust and understanding they had built. Their relationship was a testament to the power of second chances, the resilience of the human heart, and the pursuit of authentic happiness. Meanwhile, Christopher transformed himself, both personally and professionally. The lessons he had learned from his past failures fueled his growth, enabling him to forge new connections and make amends with those he had hurt. He became a living testament to the capacity for change and the power of self-reflection. As fate would have it, Sandra and Christopher's paths crossed once again, years after their separation. The encounter was marked by a profound sense of closure and mutual respect. They exchanged bittersweet smiles, acknowledging the significance of their individual journeys and the happiness they have found apart. Sandra looked into Christopher's eyes, her heart filled with a blend of gratitude and serenity. "Thank you for being a part of my life, Christopher," she whispered, her voice carrying the weight of their shared history. "Our paths may have diverged, but I will always cherish the love we shared and the growth it inspired." Christopher nodded, his gaze filled with a mix of fondness and acceptance. "And I am grateful for the time we had together, Sandra," he replied, his voice tinged with a hint of nostalgia. "You taught me the importance of being present and showed me the capacity for change." With a final exchange of glances, Sandra and Christopher bid each other farewell, their separate paths leading them toward futures filled with hope and possibility. Years passed, and the lives of Sandra, Colin, and Christopher took divergent paths. Sandra and Colin built a life filled with love, trust, and shared dreams. Their connection deepened with every passing moment, their souls intertwined in a dance of understanding and support. Meanwhile, Christopher reflected on the choices that had led him to this point. Regret lingered within him, a constant reminder of the missed opportunities and the pain he had caused. He watched from a distance as Sandra and Colin flourished, their happiness serving as a poignant reminder of the love he had let slip away. The echoes of regret haunted Christopher, urging him to confront the depths of his emotions. He longed for closure, a chance to make amends, and seek forgiveness for the wounds he had inflicted. With newfound courage, he reached out to Sandra, requesting a meeting that would lay bare the raw emotions that still lingered between them. Sandra, torn between the past and the present, agreed to meet Christopher, driven by a need to find closure for herself as well. The weight of their shared history hung heavy in the air as they sat across from each other, their eyes filled with a mix of sadness and longing. Christopher's voice trembled as he poured out his heart, expressing the depth of his regret and the profound change he had undergone. "Sandra, I have carried the weight of my absence during your mother's funeral for years," he began, his voice filled with a mix of sorrow and determination. "I recognize the pain I caused you, and I am truly sorry." Sandra listened, her heart warring between the love she had once felt for Christopher and the happiness she had found with Colin. The wounds of the past resurfaced, as did the lingering doubts that had led her to make the difficult decision to leave. "I appreciate your apology, Christopher," Sandra replied, her voice steady. "But we have both moved on. I have found love and happiness with Colin, and it would be unfair to everyone involved to disrupt that." Christopher's face fell, the weight of his regret etched upon it. "I understand," he whispered, his voice tinged with resignation. "I had hoped for a chance to make amends, but I respect your decision." As Sandra and Christopher parted ways once again, a sense of finality settled over them. The echoes of regret lingered, a reminder of the choices made and the paths not taken. They both carried the scars of their past, but also the wisdom gained through growth and self-discovery. Sandra returned to the warm embrace of Colin, her heart filled with gratitude for the love they shared. Together, they faced the future with open hearts, knowing that their bond had weathered the storms of doubt and betrayal. As for Christopher, he embarked on a new chapter of his life. Guided by the lessons learned from his past, he vowed to live with integrity, embracing the opportunities to make a positive impact on the lives of those around him. The echoes of regret would forever be a part of their story, a reminder of the fragility of love, the consequences of betrayal, and the resilience of the human spirit. But in the end, it was the choices they made in the face of regret that shaped their destinies and led them toward the paths they were destined to walk. The passage of time brought both healing and reflection to the lives of Sandra, Colin, and Christopher. Each of them carried the weight of their past decisions, but also the potential for growth and forgiveness. Sandra and Colin's love continued to thrive, their bond deepening with every shared experience. They celebrated milestones together, creating a home filled with laughter and cherished memories. Through the challenges they faced, they remained committed to open communication and nurturing their relationship. In the midst of their happiness, Sandra found herself revisiting the echoes of regret and the unresolved emotions that lingered with Christopher. She knew that forgiveness was a vital step toward personal growth and closure. With a heart filled with compassion, she reached out to him, extending an invitation to meet. Christopher, surprised and hopeful, accepted the invitation. The meeting was filled with trepidation and anticipation as they found themselves face to face once again. The weight of their shared history hung heavy in the air, but this time, there was a glimmer of hope for redemption. As they sat across from each other, Sandra spoke first, her voice laced with empathy. "Christopher, I have carried the pain of our past for a long time, but I also believe in the power of forgiveness." She began, her words carrying the weight of her own journey of self-discovery. "I want you to know that I forgive you for the hurt you caused me during such a vulnerable time." Christopher's eyes glistened with a mixture of gratitude and remorse. "Sandra, I cannot express how deeply sorry I am for the pain I caused you," he replied, his voice filled with sincerity. "I have spent years reflecting on my actions, and I have grown as a person. I am grateful for your forgiveness." As they navigated the complexities of their emotions, Sandra and Christopher found solace in honest conversation. They shared the lessons they had learned, the personal growth they had undergone, and the transformations that had shaped their lives. It was a meeting marked by vulnerability, understanding, and a shared commitment to healing. In the end, forgiveness became a bridge between their past and present. Sandra and Christopher acknowledged the significance of their shared history and the impact it had on their lives. They accepted the bittersweet reality that their paths had diverged, leading them toward different futures. With forgiveness came closure and the freedom to move forward. Sandra and Christopher parted ways once again, this time with a renewed sense of peace and acceptance. They carried the lessons of their journey, using them as guiding lights in their respective lives. Sandra returned to Colin, her heart lighter and her spirit at ease. She shared the details of her meeting with Christopher, and Colin listened with unwavering support and understanding. Their love stood strong, fortified by the experiences that had shaped them individually and as a couple. As for Christopher, the forgiveness he received from Sandra became a catalyst for his own personal growth. He embraced the opportunity to rebuild his life, focusing on self-improvement and nurturing the relationships that remained. He carried the lessons learned from his past, determined to make amends and forge meaningful connections. In the tapestry of their intertwined lives, forgiveness served as a powerful thread. It wove its way through the story of betrayal, love, and redemption, offering a path toward healing and growth. Sandra, Colin, and Christopher moved forward, their hearts open to the possibilities that awaited them, forever transformed by their shared journey. Years had passed since Sandra, Colin, and Christopher had embarked on their individual paths of growth and forgiveness. Life had a way of leading them toward unexpected horizons, where new beginnings awaited. Sandra and Colin had built a life rich with love, trust, and shared aspirations. Their bond had weathered the trials of the past, solidifying into a partnership founded on mutual respect and unwavering support. Together, they had created a home that radiated warmth and happiness. As their love story continued to unfold, Sandra's passion for helping others flourished. Inspired by her own journey of healing, she pursued a career in counseling, dedicating herself to guiding others towards self-discovery and inner peace. Her empathy and understanding touched the lives of those she encountered, providing solace and guidance. Colin, too, found fulfillment in his endeavors. His artistic talents blossomed, and he gained recognition as a renowned painter. Through his artwork, he conveyed the depth of human emotions, capturing the essence of love, loss, and the resilience of the human spirit. His creations resonated with audiences, stirring hearts and inspiring contemplation. In the wake of his transformation, Christopher had also discovered his own purpose. He channeled his newfound wisdom and empathy into a career in philanthropy, striving to make a positive impact on society. Through charitable endeavors, he sought to mend the fractures of the world, offering hope and assistance to those in need. Their paths eventually crossed once again, the the reunion marked by genuine warmth and appreciation for the journeys they had undertaken. Sandra, Colin, and Christopher found themselves in a shared space, their lives intersecting in unexpected harmony. The echoes of their past had faded, replaced by the beauty of forgiveness and personal growth. They reflected on the intricate dance of fate, recognizing the ways in which their choices had shaped their lives and the lives of those around them. Gratitude welled within their hearts as they acknowledged the significance of their intertwined stories. As the sun set on one chapter of their lives, a new dawn emerged on the horizon. Sandra, Colin, and Christopher embraced the beauty of second chances and the infinite possibilities that lay before them. They ventured forth, united by a shared understanding of the transformative power of love, forgiveness, and self-discovery. Their love stories had taken unexpected turns, weaving together a tapestry of emotions and experiences. They had weathered storms, confronted their demons, and emerged stronger and wiser. In the end, it was their capacity to forgive and embrace change that propelled them toward lives filled with authenticity and joy. And so, the story of Sandra, Colin, and Christopher unfolded, leaving behind a trail of lessons and inspiration for all who dared to embark on their own journeys of love, forgiveness, and self-discovery. Their paths had converged, diverged, and converged once again, forever bound by the echoes of regret and the resounding power of redemption.